Hello and welcome to the Sydney Football Stadium for today's game, the second in the Optus Cup for 1996. Eastern Suburbs led out by Sean Garlick, the Sydney City Roosters as they're now called. And they do battle against today the Balmain or Sydney Tigers. Very small crowd in, a pleasant day in Sydney, good football conditions. And there's the side, the Sydney City side: Cleary, Junee, Singh, Clark, Jorgensen, Walker, Lamb, Lowry, Garlick, Hermanson, Phil Clark, Remaker and Fittler. Coached by Phil Gould, the state coach. Sean Garlick named as captain on camera. And that came as a surprise considering Brad Fittler was signed by the Roosters during the off-season, the Australian captain. There he is, from Penrith to Bondi, and I'm told loving it. Back at the scrum, 13 on his back today. Andrew Walker, one of the new faces and adding to their rugby union talents. That is Ivan Cleary from North Sydney. And now the Sydney Tigers, taken out by former Australian representative and Cronulla Sutherland player Dan Staines. Dan playing at prop forward today. Paul Sirenen conspicuous as he comes down the tunnel. And here's the Sydney Tigers: Brasher at the back, Heron from St George on one wing, Kennedy Thompson centres, Patterson the other wing, and then the great Ellery Hanley, Wes Patton, Dan Staines, Michael Brown, Paul Sirenen, Walker, Smith and centre form the back of the scrum, and they're coached by one of the best back rowers in the game, Wayne Pearce. Just a light film of cloud over the football stadium, and there he is, the Pearl. Ellery Hanley, 35 years of age now, captained the Great Britain Lions tour to Australia in 1992. He's coached Great Britain, and he's back with Balmain. He was with the Tigers in 1988. Unsponsored Balmain, so they're obviously on the lookout for somebody to put firmly on that jumper, a very proud jumper, the black and gold, down through many, many years. Eddie Ward is the referee. Tigers will run from right to left. And Ian Heron it is that'll start game number 2 in the Optus Cup. Ward has called time on, warns Balmain to keep behind the halfway line. Heron's kick is high and fed away by Cleary immediately for Jason Lowry to take it out towards the 20-metre line, and Garlick moves into dummy half, and coming onto it with the arm heavily taped is Hermanson. Now from the blind they work to the open with Clark, and Clark is bombarded with a good tackle from Dan Staines. Garlick goes back to the blind, looking for the kick. Walker drops it on the right foot. It bounces on the 30 and goes down for Brasher just outside the 20-metre line on the members' end of the ground. Brasher comes back. Penalty goes against the Roosters for failing to stay outside the 10 from an offside possession. So that was the kick, and they were in front of the kicker, which requires them to stay more than 10 metres radius away from the man playing at the football. Sirenen takes it up on the first after the tap. 42 metres out from the Roosters line. Away through Patton it goes and finds Hanley. He puts on a short pass.
They'll be looking for some service out of Paul Sirenen this afternoon, the Tigers. Resting to see during the week that he hasn't ruled himself out of future representative fixtures. He's keen and available. He'll be looking to lead the way. Very experienced. They'll have to take these Tigers on head on as they move into the Roosters half, 45 metres out centre field.
Played there by Darren Centre, who was formerly with the Canterbury Bankstown club, and Sirenen puts his frame on the line and they bring him down. They go away to the right, and Hanley showing it and then unloading to centre again. Michael Brown is the dummy half in 9. He played deputy to Benny Elias for so many years. Now the youngster is firmly established in the number 9 Balmain jumper, Sydney Tigers jumper. We're back on the 10-metre line, and the sound of Eddie Ward's whistle gives a penalty to Sydney City, their first of the match. 1-1 the penalties and 0-0 the scoreline. 10 metres out from their own line. This is against the defence for not moving away from the tackle player quickly enough. And now Hermanson takes a hop step and a jump into the opposition. And here's another penalty. Eddie Ward has picked up a swinging arm in the tackle, I suspect. Got him for a couple of incidents actually. I heard Eddie Wood say there was a high shot earlier and now again, and he was talking to the number 11, which is Shane Walker. So that's Shane getting back into the line, having given a penalty and warned by Eddie Ward that he probably could have taken him earlier. Now the tap has been taken and they take it towards the 30-metre line. The Roosters, a lot expected from them this year. They led Balmain 18-0 in this corresponding match last year and got run over. So they'll also be on the alert for any complacency that might creep in. Fittler comes in for his first touch of the ball in the new jumper. Cleary it is that plays it, and Fittler feeds it. Clark is with it. And Clark, of course, we've got here two former Great Britain captains playing against each other in Hanley and Clark. And this is Lamb. And talking of captains, he captained Papua New Guinea. And now, this is Matt Singh in the headgear, put away just 20 metres away now from the Tigers line. Fittler puts it on the right foot. Work for Heron and Brasher. Heron did his job. He gave an Australian Will Shepherd and got away with it. Good work.
Yeah, it's just Adrian Lamb looks very sharp early in the match. His game has come on in leaps and bounds since he represented Queensland last year. It's amazing what success can do for a player, and he looks terrific.
So too do the front rowers. The Roosters, getting a very good platform set by Hermanson and Lowry. And when they take the ball forward, they are working towards centre field. And second or third tackle, that gives them good options. And here's a chance for the Tigers. That's Kennedy down the left-hand wing with a great tackle in cover defence from Ivan Cleary.
Good work by Serenan to put Kennedy down the left flank. Now Patton comes into it. Hanley gets the ball away. They've gone out to the centres. That is Thompson. And here's the Tigers looking good. Hanley handles for the second time. Heron puts it on the boot. He's leading the race for it. He'll score. Yes! Ian Heron has scored for the Sydney Tigers.
Oh, well done by the Tigers. Some great ball skills there. And Chook Heron, of all people, outpaced someone. Unbelievable. But put it down to Ciro. As we see it, this is the early action. A lovely ball, bumped them out of the way. Offloaded, that's a Ciro we all know and love. And from here, they just went on. Wes Patton, he held up a pass nicely here. As we watch him come into the play, he's got Hanley on the outside. Just holds it up. Beautiful ball there. Drew a couple. And then from there, went into this young kid, Jason Thompson. And then from there, Hanley involved once again, and then Heron from here did it all on his own. This is amazing. Good ran past Phil Clark like he was tied to the grass, and first try to the Tigers.
Both young centres there for the Tigers featuring very prominently. Firstly, Kennedy down the left-hand side, and that was great work from Jason Thompson, keeping the ball alive. Ellery Hanley, his second touch of the football. And Heron, he was going to kick the football straight away. He saw that there was a back rower in front of him, knew he'd have too much speed. And that's exactly the way it turned out for the Tigers. So a bit of a shock here. First points to the black and golds. And Ian Heron, obviously a very accomplished goal kicker as well.
But you can't speak enough of Ciro's involvement there early. When you're in that battle zone in your own 15, 20 metre zone, you need someone with some impact to get you out of that area. And that ball from Ciro and that crunching run was what they need.
So Ian Heron will long remember his debut match for the Sydney Tigers. Now can he put a bit of cream on the cake from 20 out and 8 in from touch, and he's hooked it. So Heron fails to convert his own try. The Tigers 4, Sydney City 0. So back for the restart. Walker it is, who takes us into the second passage of play. A very deep kickoff. Ooh, he was really flirting with danger, and Hanley just handed it over to Walker, the second rower, to take it out. Brasher comes away from the 10. Oh, good run by Brasher. He's looked for Kennedy, found Kennedy. He's going down the flank. They're coming across. Will they get him? He tries to fend away. Cleary makes a great tackle. Now, from Smith, it's gone to Brasher. The Tigers looking for another. This all started back from the end goal. Will they score? They're close. The Tigers, inches away from the line. Patton is with it now. Very dangerous in this part of the field. Henley gets it away. Staines now out very wide. And Ward gives a penalty. He's penalised Dan Staines for not playing the ball properly.
A real let-off there for the Roosters. A great try-saving tackle once again from Ivan Cleary. Brad Fittler, that tackle on Dan Staines, the ball came loose. It wasn't a penalty. He wasn't trying to play the football, it just came loose. So it really is a double whammy against the Tigers, not only losing possession, but something like 30 metres as well.
The Roosters now on the 40-metre line with the football in attack, but on the scoreboard very much in defence. The Tigers are giving the ball plenty of air. They're throwing it around. And it would seem that they have basically said to hell with what the papers might be saying. Let's do what we do well. Now Clark gives it on. Lamb is with it. He sees a gap. Sirinen moves quickly to his right to make the tackle. They're 45 metres out. Walker's with it, menacing the opposition. Cleary combines. Hermanson gives it on. Lowry is with it, pushes it forward. In fact, it wasn't Lowry, but the other second rower, Ramaka. And now it's with Singh, who's tackled 28 metres out from the Tigers' line. Tackle 5 is with us. Walker to the air, charged down, and recovered there by the Tigers. Good work. Sometimes the value of the charge down has been questioned. That time, Hanley came up with it.
That time it was just a sign of the enthusiasm as a mistake made by the Tigers. Peter Jorgensen cleans up. They're 31 metres out. Done a good job in defence so far. Got to muscle up again as Terry Hermanson has tackled second tackle.
Hermanson is 25 metres out as he plays it on the second. And now it's through Lamb's hands and gone to Walker. Shows it to Fittler, then to Singh, now to Junie. Junie angles back, beats Hanley, gets away from Patton. Pulled down though by the number 12 Hudson Smith. They're 5 metres inside the Tigers' 20-metre line. The Tigers are in front 4-0 and nearly had another try to boot. And here's a penalty going to the Tigers. That is an obstruction against the Roosters. Let's have a look at how it unfolded. It was Jason Lowry who ran around behind his captain, Sean Garlick, who actually went ahead and took a defender out of the play. Ruling was right from Eddie Ward, as now Dan Staines gets it 38 metres off his own line, and they cut out a player and go wide to their lock, Darren Centre. Brown gets himself to dummy half. Here's the call from Brasher, and Brasher is looking so crisp. He's only touched the ball a couple of times, but both times he's made an impact, and here's a penalty now to the boys from Leichhardt.
But already you can see what value Ellery Hanley will be for this Tigers side this year. He may be 36, he may not be as quick as he used to be, but I'll tell you what, already he's done some great things. He's been on the ball for the whole 10 or 12 minutes of the match, and he'll be a great buy for them.
I remember Ellery doing some commentary with us a couple of years ago. My biggest problem, I don't know about you blokes, I couldn't understand him.
A little bit surprised here that Heron is attempting this kick. We saw from the kickoff, if anything, a little bit of breeze against him. I think that if he missed this one, struggled to put it dead. A little bit of a roll on there, the Tigers. It's been through Tim Brasher coming up and getting involved, really picking his time to take the ball from the dummy half. He's causing all sorts of problems. Chance now for the Tigers to extend the lead to a converted try.
So it's Ian Heron, the try scorer, who will try to catch up for the one that he missed. A difficult kick to attempt conversion. This not quite so difficult. 40 metres out, almost the centre of the park. It's out to the right and short, which is unlike Heron. He's very seldom lacking in distance. He obviously didn't get a good strike on it. And this is Remaker. Garlick with a good run. Catching the markers, not working. Lamb using Hermanson, who, if you watch him closely, he very much on purpose gets himself side on to meet the opposition. Lowry with a good run, then a good ball. Matt Singh is inside the 30-metre line, but Patton is after him and rounds him up. Now from Junee, a high ball across to Fittler, long to Lamb, equally to Walker. Walker gets a decoy inside, then the ball goes to ground, and Jorgensen on the far side of the ground is with it. 5 tackles, 30 metres out, Walker to the air. It's not a high kick, it's been very delicately weighted into the in goal, but it's gone dead, so it'll come back to the 20 for the restart.
A beautiful piece of cover defence, wasn't there by Wes Patton on that bust made as Matt Singh went through. Typical halfback play, just covering behind his men, and he cut down Matt Singh, who's got plenty of toe, and Patton had him covered all the way. Beautiful stuff by him.
Sheridan then combining on the blind side and throwing a pass across the face. And Thompson it was, the centre, who played the ball previously to this man, which is Walker. And they're getting close to halfway as Smith gets an arm free, but Clark's tackle brings him down and forces him to play it. And linking up now is centre, the lock. Garlick hangs on with Hermanson, and they're 5 metres into Roosters territory now as Patton puts it on the left foot. It angles it over towards the wing, occupied by Junee, but it's brought back by Ivan Cleary, and Cleary with a weaving run is eventually pulled down by Paul Sirenen. Singh, one of the Penrith players to join up with the Roosters, and that's a good run. It's carried him the best part of 25 metres, and immediately the Roosters are on the attack, and the Tigers looked a bit thin on that side of the ground. The drop ball has helped them. 6 more tackles. It was aided by the Tigers, and now Remaker. 3 metres on the opposition side of halfway. Lamb is with it now, jinking and then putting Walker through a gap. Walker comes inside, Brasher's after him, Brasher won't get him, Walker gets the try. Adrian Lamb looked very, very good, very sharp. Walker capitalises, and that's the equaliser.
And a very simple try it was for the Roosters, just the pass back inside, reversing play. They go to the left-hand side, they drift across, we freeze it there. You can see that this Tiger defender is very slow in coming across, and that opens up that hole straight through there. Just a little bit lazy coming across. If he'd have been a little bit more urgent in his tackle, he'd have been there earlier. And then Wes Patton, unfortunately for him, comes up with his first missed tackle of the game, and it leads to a try.
Great stuff by Lamb, wasn't it, to draw those 2 players. Patton should have got this, Blake. You don't get that close and miss them. And Walker, of course, he's very skillful, very strong in the legs. And he broke out of that one and should put the Roosters ahead here with this converted try.
Andrew Walker, formerly with the St George Club, and of course prior to that rugby union with the Randwick Club. And as I said, he's given them 3 outstanding former union players. Ivan Cleary from right in front, and of course he doesn't miss many of them. So 6 points to 4, the Roosters over the Tigers now. Entertaining. Six points to 4. With the Roosters now holding control. Junee. Ordinary bounce there, Darren. I think he was expecting it to sit up, but it did no favours for him at all. Good strong effort by Lowry. And then from Junee, quick passing to Singh. He's away from one and pulled down just outside the 30-metre line by Suriname.
The Roosters have made an interchange. 14 is Glenn Morrison out there for Hermanson. It's the replacement player there throwing a bad pass. Cleaned up by the Tigers in good field position. Here's Brasher again looking to get involved from the fullback.
Brasher, across he goes to the wing occupied there by Tim Patterson. Now they go back to the right. A bad pass. That'll be play on off the foot of Sirinen. No knock on. And they go into their third tackle now. They wasted one. And centre with a very good run. Went straight over the top of the attempted tackle from Adrian Lamb. And here they are again, the Tigers, looking dangerous. Morrison is on for Hermanson in the Sydney City side. Patton's kick off the uprights. Oh, it came off the fingertips of one of the Roosters players. And then into the end goal and forced by the Roosters. That was very close.
Well, that goalpost got in the way, otherwise it would have been a try because they were flying through the Tigers. Even here, there's still some hope. But Cleary got there to cover it up.
To say the least, the opening has been entertaining and I would imagine quite fulfilling for Wayne Pearce. Steve Roach?
Yeah, that's exactly what Wayne Pearce was talking about before the game. He thought that the Eastern Suburbs side had a lot of publicity and that they would underestimate the Tigers, and that's proved true.
Here's their captain, Staines, now. He toured New Zealand with the Australian side in 1989. Played for Queensland Origin football, I think, on 4 occasions. And here they are now, the Tigers, looking for inspiration from their captain and particularly from Ellery Hanley. And Hanley is put down 27 metres out from the Roosters try line. 6-4 with the Roosters leading. Patton is away from Clark and Lowry dived and got a leg. Held down for quite some time. It brings a groan from the crowd. A snatching catch there by Smith. And then the centre tried to do the same, Kennedy, and eventually the Roosters came up with it.
A little bit unlucky here. The Tigers, I thought they should have got a penalty.
For the tackle?
Exactly.
I don't mind telling you that Lowry and Remaker can look alike for obvious reasons. This is Adrian Lamb then. And how much strength have they got in this unit at the Roosters when you think of John Simon on the bench? Halfway line, they've just gone across it as Lamb keeps it fairly low, bounces it down towards Tim Brasher on the 10-metre line. Back with him was Patterson, but Junee is there to bring Tim Brasher down. Australian fullback of the moment. And that is Patterson, tackled on the 20-metre line now. Swinging arm over the top of the ball carrier, which was Kennedy. The arm came from Garlick. And now they're on the 40-metre line, the Tigers. Brown out from dummy half, supported by centre. Centre back for Patton. Patton on for Kennedy. Kennedy is 5 metres into Roosters territory. They're running towards the Centennial Park Road into the ground as the ball is propelled low, but it's gone out on the full from the boot of Wes Patton. He's disappointed, needless to say. Patton, of course, a star of sevens football for the Tigers. This is a slightly different game, though, as the Roosters now start to plan their next attack. And Walker is around centre, through a gap, over the 40 and the 30. Heron, he turned him inside out. The pass has gone down and knocked on.
Oh, beautiful mover, isn't he, Walker? And he created that gap out of nothing. He stood up Darren Centre out wide, got around him. If you had a look back on the inside, you would have seen Ivan Cleary unmarked and under the sticks, but he found Peter Clark, who couldn't handle the football.
Tigers just making another replacement as centre comes from the field. That is Glenn Morrison in 14 for the Tigers. Apologies earlier there, we said Morrison was on for Hermanson, but that was obviously a typographical error. Morrison with Balmain in 14. He's on for centre now. 42 metres out from the Tigers line. And the Roosters will work this scrum as a result of that infringement. Scrum packing towards centre field. 6-4, 2 tries. And we've got about 17 and a half minutes to go.
Crucial mistake here, knock on at the scrum base by Lamb, as Matt Singh, interestingly enough, was packing into that scrum as lock with Fittler out in the back line, but it will knock on, so Balmain, the Sydney Tigers now get the feed.
Hold it steady. Get
Very big blind side here. The scrum's now 20 metres in, and great attacking opportunities for somebody with the speed of a Wes Patton. This occasion he decides to go to the open through Hanley. Now Kennedy takes it centre field. 17 minutes to go in this first half. The Tigers very confident, moving the ball around. That's the replacement player now, Morrison.
Problem in back play for the Roosters. Andrew Walker is down seeking attention as Dan Staines tries to run over the top of the centre Clark. Now they come away to the left and a long pass finding Hanley and then Patton, and now it's Hudson Smith who's held, able to stand and promote. Back for Hanley. Hanley looks at Sirenen. He passes out the back, and that's a knock on there by Wes Patton.
Yeah, Ellery probably should have hung on to that one, but what a beautiful pass by Wes Patton as he drifted across the field to put Hudson Smith into a gap. Hanley tried to unleash that one, but he was surrounded by about 45 of them.
He's doing some great stuff, Wes Patton, but every now and then he just comes up with quite a crucial mistake. He had a look then, it should have been 6 again for his team. All of a sudden the Roosters come up with possession and a penalty now, and all the pressure is off. He did miss the tackle in the try. So some extremes in his game at the moment, the Tigers halfback.
I get the impression that's the way it is with Wes Patton, Peter, and there's been some fellows with bigger names than Wes Patton that were of a similar vein, if I can put it that way. Blokes like Teddy Goodwin, champion. But oh my goodness, he could make some horrifying mistakes. I think they call them rugby league enigmas. Would that be right? Halfway. Vorton was a perfect example. Good one day and terrible the next.
Oh, it still is.
Now, it's a cross for Lamb to push on for Fittler. And Fittler now stands and looks for Walker, who's okay again. 38 metres out from the Tigers line. I keep going to say Balmain. I shouldn't apologise, but they want to be called the Sydney Tigers. 32 metres off their line now. And this is Cleary now. The director telling me that it's all right. If you're over 50, they'll understand. As now Adrian Lamb pilots a kick across. Oh, Brasher. He's got magnificent hands. He looked as though he got all tripped up around Tim Patterson, but he still left his eyes on the ball and came down with it. Watch this.
Complete lack of communication there, and that can so often lead to tries. Fortunately, Tim Brasher's hands are that good that he was able to take the ball on the full. Penalty now for the Tigers. The ball was raked out of the hands of Wes Patton.
Wes Patton, I like the look of a halfback who's willing to take on the big fellas, even in his own quarter. A halfback that goes to the line, always creating opportunities for himself or for his outside men. And you'll find that those halfbacks who have done that are always the best ones.
So here's Michael Brown really making his first breakaway from dummy half for the first time. Very good ball runner, Michael Brown. As Hanley turns it in, Brasher links up with him. Two of the three senior players in the side that the youngsters will learn from as the season unfolds. And centre, well, Hudson Smith it is, that knocks on the pass from Paul Sirenen.
Very dangerous to turn your back on the opposition. See here, Paul Sirenen backs in, throws the outside pass. That's intercept material. The Tigers, if Could have been taken by Hudson Smith there and ruled not forward by the referee. There was a little bit of a gap. Quite a few handling errors, and that's the only thing that has gone against the Tigers today is when they have split the ball at crucial times.
Brasher coming up out of the line, making that tackle and snuffing out any opportunity for the Roosters. That's a solid tackle there. Launched by a replacement that's on for the Tigers, Mark Stimson. So they're on the halfway line, leading 6-4, the Sydney City Roosters, and there's been some very good defence out there in this set of 6 from the Tigers. Jolting stuff. Now Fittler. Fittler kicks and tries to get through the gap, but Paul Seranen is there to cover ground again. I don't think I've seen Seranen cover this much ground for a long time. He looks like he's revitalised. This was Fittler doing what he does so well. And Big Ciro dropped back and grabbed possession for the Tigers. Played now by Stimson, and this is Morrison. 45 metres away from the opposition try line. Through from Hanley, into Patton, away from Brasher. They find Kennedy. Kennedy puts his foot down, gets a pass in. Patterson can't take it, and it goes into touch. And Brasher is saying it came off one of the Roosters.
This sort of inexperience here is going to cost teams like the Tigers, who have a lot of young kids in their side. Made the bust, did Kennedy, and really the pass was always going to be a dicey one. Plenty of traffic around. They've lost possession.
I'll tell you something. Looking at the replay, I can see why Brasher was blowing up. It looked like it was headed across the sideline by one of the Sydney City Roosters players. That's what Tim Brasher was on about, and well within his rights. Doesn't matter whether you play at the ball or not in matters of touch. The last player that it comes off, the feed will go against his side. Lamb then, using Junee. Fittler a dummy half.
Another good-looking prospect, isn't he, the young Tiger centre, William Kennedy. Was responsible for making that break and throwing that pass that Fatty rightly pointed out shouldn't have been thrown, but defensively he's been very strong out there as well, and I think that's the first thing you look for when they come into the top competition. He's handled himself very well out there against Matt Singh and Peter Clark.
Walker then, putting it deep into the corner, down into the members' corner. And it's Brasher who brings it back to be met by Darren Junee and be tackled on the 20-metre line. Comes from an unlikely naming for a rugby league club, William Kennedy, the Bathurst Penguins. As the Tigers get the penalty, Eddie Ward telling them, "I warned you to stay out of it." So it is that Michael Brown finds the touch line, and Seranen, with a very strong first half performance, reaches the halfway mark. His side trailing by 2. They scored a gem of a try early on from Ian Heron, and then it was matched by the combination of Adrian Lamb and also Andrew Walker. This is Hanley. Not as mobile as he was, but still very creative. This man really puts his body on the line centre. Now it's Patton. And he's got Remacher all tied up, trying to bring him down. Remacher does that, wins the battle. Brown goes across for Morrison. Morrison's inside the 20-metre line. And Brown scampers in to dummy half, no markers. He puts the grubber kick across. A bounce will help them, but it comes down favourably for the Roosters.
Yes, but a knock-on from the Roosters should see a Tigers scrum feed here. And a great chance with under 9 minutes to go in this first half. Michael Brown's been great out of dummy half, picking the exact right times to run. There was the knock on there. The Roosters player. It's Clark being spoken to with his captain, Sean Garlick.
He's actually pinched Phil Clark for a touch judge reporting that Clark stopped a player from getting involved in the Balmain attack. Eddie Ward missed the incident, which is quite likely for all referees, and the touch judge has done a good job. Let's see if we can pick it up. It's maybe off screen. There it is there, with Clark holding Morrison back out of it. He didn't do any damage to him, but he has attracted the attention of the touch judge.
I don't know there was much in that because he was offside anyway. And Morris in front of the kicker.
The man who did knock on for the Roosters was John Simon. He's out there in number 16. Their big signings during the off-season. Put into the fray by Phil Gould. Bringing Heron here a chance to tie things up. We go late into this first half.
7.5 minutes on the clock remaining. And Heron with his simplest shot for goal so far. He gets the 2 points. That equals the scoreboard. 6 points all. Andrew Walker will restart. Restart off the boot of Andrew Walker, and again he drives it deep down into the corner. And that's the running style of centre. As they come out to the 10-metre line. Cross now for Heron. They make no ground, just outside the 10, their own end of the park. And there's a ball round the corner, finding centre, I think it is, on the left of the ground. It was, and away from Brown and back for Patton and across for Morrison. Morrison looked back for a runner. 15 is out there for the Tigers now. That is Bernard Wilson. Unlimited interchange, welcomed, of course, by the players. And a good thing, a very good thing, but it certainly keeps you bobbing as far as players who are on and off is concerned. This is Jorgensen. Carries the name of a former great Balmain player, Joe Jorgensen. And now something's been picked up.
Yeah, high tackle here. He's actually calling both players out, Bernard Wilson and Michael Brown. You see, very clumsy effort, both players going high. With 5 minutes to go in this first half. A real danger time for the Tigers. They've done a tremendous job for the first 35 minutes. Amazing how many points are scored late and early in halves. They've got to make sure that they keep their line intact here.
Paul Dunn it is, on for the Roosters now, who played it. They've come through 2 sets of hands, through Simon and Walker for Fittler to link up with Cleary. Cleary pushes away from Hanley, does the same to Kennedy, and put down by Patton. 19 metres out from the line. Singh gives it for Simon. Simon uses Remiker. Remiker's inside the 10-metre line. He's put down, loses the ball. And it's a penalty going to the Roosters.
This will be interesting to see what decision they make here, whether to kick for goal. They feel as though they can put on a try here. Ellery Hanley now being called out along with his lock forward, Darren centre. Sean Garlick not impressed. Tigers players were wasting time there. Ivan Cleary does come forward. It's as though they will kick for goal.
Well, now they've decided to go for goal. The original decision has been overruled. And there is no doubt that Tim Brasher gave it some help. He wasn't really involved in the tackle. He was only interested in raking the ball out. But Tim was the first to blow up when the penalty was given. So Cleary will take a shot from there, just inside the 20-metre line and the 10-metre line.
A little bit of gamesmanship there from Ellery Hanley and Darren Sender. They weren't in any hurry to leave the football behind. In their minds, they may have stopped 6 points being scored, and giving Ivan Cleary a fairly difficult shot from out wide. He's 18 metres in from touch.
Well, tomorrow night you'll see the highlight package of Manly and South Sydney, as Cleary's kick is a beauty off the boot and straight between the uprights. So it sends the Roosters to that 2-point lead with half-time 2.5 minutes away. Kick again from right behind Ivan Cleary, and there would not have been too many kicks more accurate than that on this park, which is looking beautiful. Second day of rugby league on the field, that is. Hermanson comes thundering back to the opposition on the 20-metre line. That is Paul Dunn. Paul, of course, has been to several clubs. He's been at Eastern Suburbs before. He's been to Canterbury, Penrith, Parramatta, and now here again. Clark through for John Simon. His kick is a torpedo punt that will roll end on end towards the goal line for Brasher. Brasher comes away. He's got some support, but deciding not to pass in such a dangerous zone. Tackled by Remaker. Patton goes in towards dummy half, but Michael Brown ushers him out of the road.
They wouldn't even be throwing passes here with under a minute to go. Done a very good job, the Tigers. This is the fourth, and that's a tremendous run from the captain, Dan Staines. Be quite happy going in, just trailing by 2, well and truly in this match, the Tigers. Now just a matter of getting a good kick away here on the last.
This is Brown getting a reasonably good kick down the park. It sat up rather than rolled on. Cleary is able to bring it back and beyond the 20-metre line with only a matter of 15 seconds remaining in the first half of the game. 8-6 it is, with 2 very good tries, 1 apiece, 2 goals to Cleary, 1 to Heron, and thus the scoreboard showing us 8 points to 6, and this will be the last play the ball. Fittler working across the back of the ruck, quick passing. The last pass was forward, and Eddie Ward picked it up, and I'm pretty sure from a touch judge call. And so it is half-time at the Sydney Football Stadium in this Optus Cup match. It's the Sydney City Roosters 8, the Sydney Tigers 6. We'll be back for the second half after the break. Welcome back to the Sydney Football Stadium. Kick-off to the second half. The Roosters leading 8 points to 6. 1 try apiece if you've just joined us for this second half. And Brasher makes an embarrassing mistake, and Andrew Walker comes up with it to give the Sydney City Roosters a very good chance early on in the second half, with Hermanson taking it ahead towards centre of the ground. About 18 metres out from the line, they've gone across, and Lamb works with Fittler. They come back and they hit the other side of the ground with Phil Clark. Clark playing it back now for Garlick, and now it's Lowry. Lowry is met by Sirinen, and they're 10 metres away from the Tigers' line. 8-6, 2 points in it, with the home side dictating, but only narrowly. A penalty has been given now to the Sydney City Roosters against the Tigers for raking the ball out in the tackle. So it'll be interesting here. I tend to think they'll take the shot, It's well within striking distance for Ivan Cleary.
Yeah.
And it gives us a very good opportunity to go to Steve Roach. We don't have to ask him what Wayne Pearce said, because Wayne Pearce is with him.
Yeah, Wayne, a tremendous start for the Tigers in the first half.
Yeah, it was a great start actually. I mean, there was a few nerves early on. We dropped a few balls, but other than that, they've defended really well, and that's what could win us the game.
Yeah, Ciro and Tim Brasher, your two senior players involved in the play, probably more than we've seen for a long time.
Yeah, Paul's led by example up in the forwards there. He's popped a few good balls, and his defence has been solid. And Brash, yeah, it's the best game he's had so far this year.
And what would be the main thing you'd be looking for in the second half?
Well, I think if we can keep the quick play the balls around the rucks, the big guys, Lowry, Hermanson, these fellas are starting to sort of be a bit sluggish in defence. So that, plus I think the short sideline corridors are starting to give us a few options.
All right, mate. Good. Thanks a lot.
Wayne Pearce there talking to his former great Balmain colleague, Steve Roach. And Ivan Cleary, one of the game's very good goal kickers. That's been forgotten, really, with Ivan deputising, really, to Jason Taylor at North Sydney. He hits this one, keeps it low, but right on line. And so they just extend a little bit now, the Roosters, to lead 10-6. A very good start to the second half for them.
He comes on the end of that Tigers mistake by Brasher. But Pete, did you ever run down those short sideline corridors? You find a few of them?
I never ran anywhere, Paul. But if I was going to run anywhere, it would have been somewhere short.
Back then for the kick-off by...
I did used to see you defending there a fair bit.
I had the corridors covered.
Yeah, been seen running from bookmaker to bookmaker quite often. So it's Lowry now, 25 away from his own line, and Hermanson gets the second chance. Got a good pass off then. Garlick was the only one trailing through. And Garlick on the 40-metre line will play it. Remaker gives them a decoy. And now it's with Clark. Fittler. Unmistakable by that running action. Just into opposition territory. Back and away for Cleary to put them in sync with their game plan. Brasher. Another fractionally embarrassing moment for Tim. He lost his footing in the in goal, made himself an easy target, and they find themselves now bringing it away, I believe, through Patterson. They're 15 metres out from their own line. Dan Stage. In a fairly lengthy rugby league career, I don't think I've ever seen Dan play in anything other than a headgear. He always seemed to have a liking for it. A lot of players, of course, can't stand the heat that is generated by them. Thompson now, away from Brown. It's Patton who puts on a sprint. Andrew Walker has him. There's danger. Lamb serves it up. Matthew Singh goes down to the 20-metre line. Brasher was quick, and Seranen was alert. Fittler gives it up to Walker. Walker across, drifting across the park. And they're 12 metres out now from the Tigers' line. Garlick into Remaker. Remaker away from Seranen, and he was left for Michael Brown. Now the ball lost in the play of the ball, and Sean Garlick's appeal to the referee tells the story.
And Andrew Walker receiving more attention. And again, in that passage of play, we saw the extremes in Wes Patton's game. That's where the balls come loose. Patton on the last tackle, he had a chance to get a kick in, albeit a hurried one. Decided to run a little bit and then threw a pass that really could have seen his side penalised to the full extent. Tigers picking up the loose ball, going very close to scoring. That's a very sad sight for the Roosters. They're 5'8" leaving the field.
He's probably their most creative player outside maybe Brad Fittler, and I say maybe, but Andrew Walker is just so creative, adventurous. But isn't it a luxury that he could come from the field and suddenly your half-back 5'8" combination could be Lamb, Simon, Lamb, Fittler, or Simon Fittler.
Simon Fittler. And the one thing that they aren't going to lose, if Andrew Walker leaves the field, you know that you're losing one of the best kickers in the game. He's just such a natural kicker of the football. But John Simon falls into that category as well. It really is a great situation for the Roosters to be in as they get another 6 tackles awarded to them by the referee.
And they come away to the left, and it's Adrian Lamb, who's smothered by Paul Sirenen. 40 metres away from the Roosters line, and that is Clark, the centre, Peter. Now, this is the other Clark, Phil. Beautiful tackle over the top by Sirenen. The legs have been snapped from under him by centre, and Sirenen put him in the sights and hit him hard. Hermanson now. From Garlick, they find Fittler. Steps off that left foot. Then comes away from the tackle. It goes on for John Simon, and he's able to brush away from another. And a strong player is John Simon. He carries it 28 metres out from the Tigers line. This will bring a penalty. Ellery Hanley is a mile offside at the play the ball.
A little bit of the Englishman coming out, and Ellery there. In the old dart, you'd get away with that. Not so here, Hanley trying to get through on the last tackle, a shake of the head, and he was well and truly early.
So the Roosters with an ideal opportunity, and they hit the wall with Lowry first up. And now they're wide and deep to the left of the park, and it's come across through 3 sets of hands before finding Brad Fittler. He's brought down on the 20-metre line, but they had a lot of depth. And now it's Lamb, who tries to scurry back through the centre, and again he's greeted by Paul Sirenen. Garlick waits. Now he gets to play the ball and goes himself. Garlick on a good run, takes them within about 5 metres of the line. 10-6 in front, 4 points the margin, and this is Remica. Remica! He stretches out and gets it down. On his maiden voyage for the Roosters, Remica gets a try, and they enlarge that lead to 14-6.
Some sloppy goal line defence there, wasn't it, by the Tigers? A mile of space, only the one marker. That was a problem for a start, and Brasher couldn't control him. He's quite powerful, this Remica.
A soft try, that one, and that'll break Wayne Pearce's heart. I heard him in his interview with Steve Roach saying how well they defended, and then to have a try like that scored against the side just undoes so much of the good work. One marker there, only 5 metres out from your own line, is unforgivable.
And Pete, if you've only got one marker, then he's got to stay. He can't be sprinting off like that Tigers defender did.
Tim Brasher with a negative wave of the head. Back on is Andrew Walker. Tim Brasher was showing the disappointment of the entire team, missing an easy tackle, and Cleary now compounds the problem. That pushes the scoreboard up to 16 points to 6. The Roosters over the Tigers. Welcome back. 30 minutes of this match remaining, and the Tigers in trouble now. 16-6, and Hermanson comes back with even more gusto. That is Lowry. There's a willing worker, Jason Lowry. Phil Clark. Bulked up Phil Clark. Lamb.
Unfortunately for Jason Lowry, he is still down, injured. Struggling to get to his feet as the trainer arrives. Brad Fittler gets the right foot kick down. Brasher takes a 22 out from his own line. Finds Wes Patton back in support. A little bit of a chance here. Got some support and goes himself after the dummy.
Down the right touchline, Wes Patton. A diving attempt by Jorgensen fails. He's turned Peter Clark around twice. He makes the tackle, and Wes Patton now is bundled over the touchline. Penalty goes to the Tigers centre. He goes for the try line, inches away from it. Wes Patton gets to dummy half, and another penalty. This will be the sin bin. Jorgensen to the sin bin for the mandatory 10. Centre takes the tap, goes through the wall, puts it down, and Darren Centre gets the try.
Oh, yeah, good work by the Tigers. A couple of penalties there. And when Jorgensen got the 10 minutes, they were down to 11 men because
Jason Lowry was
being chaired off the field.
Here was the bust from Wes Patton. The dummy bamboozled the defence. Jorgensen showed plenty of speed to come up with the tackle, and then Adrian Lamb, to miss the tackle, but Adrian Lamb is the player who comes in and is penalised for the second tackle. And then Jorgensen basically giving away a professional foul on the line. Darren Centre, quick thinking to get over in the corner.
Well, all of this has now suddenly brought the Tigers back. This try, and Darren Centre, he just simply said, I will do it on my own. He said himself, he said, I'm going to run through that wall, and that's what he did. But now, for the next 10 minutes, they're against 12 men. So from 16 to 6 to 16 to 10, the kick to come, and playing against 12 opponents. Ian Heron. Metre in from touch on the 20-metre line. He's only got the one. He'll have the distance.
I don't know about that, Ray. There's a breeze out there that you just can't really pick up. It's a tough kick.
There's the kick, and it was just offline, so no change, no addition. 16 to 10. Did you ever do any goal kicking, Sterling?
Not often, Ray. There's the Roosters there. They committed the same error that the Tigers were guilty of at the other end. They didn't get up off their own line as well. One of those short corridors exposed there, Fatty.
Well, that's it. Of course, the corridors. They come into play at long last, and as Walker kicks off, that'll buoy the Tigers.
This is Hudson Smith now for the Tigers. And that is Patterson. 20-metre line for the Tigers. 15 for them is Bernard Wilson. A number of youngsters that have got a chance through all of this. Glenn Morrison for one, Bernard Wilson, Mark Stimson, Kennedy, Thompson, the centres. Not necessarily getting a chance through the off-field events involving Super or Global League or whatever it is. But a chance provided in a funny way by the Golden Dollar, attracting players away from clubs like Balmain. It opens up a channel of hope for younger players to come on through.
I think you've got to give their coach an enormous rap too, Wayne Pearce. Came into the job and immediately was under pressure. He made a couple of decisions there that people found surprising, letting some players go. In fact, some of his more talented players he was prepared to allow to leave the club, save any disruptions there. He stood by the players that he's brought into the club, plenty of young ones, and it's starting to reap some dividends for them.
So here's Garlick now, hearing the call from Fittler on the left, and Fittler putting it down into the corner, and Brasher eyeballed there and brought down by Clark. Just got to do a little bit more work, each of them now. With Jorgensen in the sin bin, he'd have something like 5 minutes of that penalty remaining. Patterson is outside the 30-metre line, looking to promote. He couldn't find a runner, and from Brown it finds Hanley, then across for Serenin. Now it's out for Hudson Smith, and he's on the halfway line. And a swarm of the Roosters come across to put him out of it. Hanley goes for a run out from dummy half. 42 metres out now from the Roosters line. Wes Patton goes to the air, but it's a kick that doesn't put any pressure on Ivan Cleary. Cleary now throwing a dummy for Junee, and then heading off over to the right of the ground where he's tackled on his own 20-metre line. Just checking that scoreboard, 16 points to 10. Roosters They've scored the same amount of tries, and as was the case last night for a greater portion of the 80 minutes, goal kicking proved the difference. Garlick plays it, and away from dummy half goes Lamb. Lamb tried to sprint between Sirinen and Morrison. Sirinen today, as I said earlier, he's been very light on his feet.
Come on, mate.
This kick is driven down the ground by Andrew Walker, and bringing it back is Heron. Big Sirinen, as I was talking, got the order to come from the field and take a rest period. That is Patterson. No, it's not. It's Thompson. This is Patterson. And he's straight up the centre. And Cleary waits for him and pulls him down. And just watching Ivan Cleary today reminds me of just how talented he really is. His anticipation and his defence is very, very good.
They're just starting to get a little bit of a roll on there, the Tigers, but Michael Brown has thrown a bad pass. A mile offside. The Tigers outside defence, and you would think that Cleary here would have a shot for goal. Brad Fittler comes up and kicks for touch. I can't believe that decision. They're in front by 6. A chance to extend to 8.
This is an interesting ruling here. The referee has ruled that the Balmain player has touched it and forced a scrum. And let me just point out to you that he was in the field of play and he leapt into the air, and everything that he has done has been quite legitimate.
I still think they had to kick for goal there.
Oh, not arguing that
No,
point.
I understand that, but Brad Fittler now, he's gone out to 5'8". He obviously believes that the Tigers are a little bit vulnerable now, despite the fact that they are the team with one player short. Both hookers are too impressed with each other, as we see the effort there once again from Tim Patterson.
He's played pretty well too, hasn't he, Tim Patterson? He's a former Gold Coast player. Plenty of toe if he gets out in the open. They won't catch him.
Interesting confrontation between the two hookers. As Walker gets a pass, and Hanley had to call on all his guile to get there in time. Walker taps it ahead, and Walker's putting the pressure on his own at the moment. Hanley looks like he's pulled a hamstring. It's 10 metres out from the Tigers' line, and the Roosters now with John Simon working it across the park. 12 metres out, centre of the ground, played out there by Paul Dunn. This is Hermanson who comes back. Hermanson is 8 metres away from the line. As they come back to the left, and Simon pops up the pass for Clark. And this is the 5th tackle. Garlick now looks for Fittler. Fittler, catch and pass, then put on the boot by Simon. Clark, Peter Clark scores. Oh, it was all so quick and delicate. And then the kick from Fittler had the weight. 20 points to 10.
Well, the decision not to kick for goal has been justified there, and it was a brilliant end to this set of 6. Have a look at this for skill. A little left foot kick through. Clark on the outside. Heron had come up very quickly. Hanley was out of play. He couldn't move, so there was no cover defence coming across from him. The Tigers moved up very quickly, and he had to thread the needle there. I think was it John Simon who got the kick in?
It was Simon's kick, but it was Fittler's catch and pass. Another magic piece of work in a chain reaction as Hanley comes off. Question mark on Clark. Was he in front of the kicker? Walker. This is where Hanley gets hurt. Right about there, Hanley comes out grimacing in pain.
That's a shame. He's been a passenger for the last couple of minutes, but still made a couple of vital tackles there. Whilst injured, he's had a fair game today for the Tigers. And, well, we've come to expect that from John Simon, that skill factor.
So Cleary on the intersection of the 10 metre and the 20. And there's his kick, and he's hit the uprights and it's bounced away. So 20 points to 10, no change in this match at the Sydney Football Stadium. Just looking at the relationship of the scorer here, Peter Clark, with the kicker, John Simon. There was just a question mark, but looking at the replay, that is not evident. Ian Heron restarts for the Tigers, and Jorgensen, you would have seen coming out of the tunnel as we went to a break. Jorgensen is back on. He's done his penalty of 10 minutes in the bin, and they're back to 13. 20 points to 10, 3 tries to 2. The Sydney City Roosters over the Sydney Tigers. With Fittler becoming more prominent in the second half. Oh, Heron took him, it looked high, but the referee said around the chest. And 15 is Ben Duckworth now. Garlick. Simon. So many talented players have they got around the half, lock forward position, 5/8. This is Brasher.
Juggling effort again from Tim Brasher, who just doesn't look as safe in this second stanza as he did in the first 40 minutes. We spoke about the big signings that the Roosters have come up with. This young player out there now, Ben Duckworth, he's a real player of the future. Formerly with the Illawarra Steelers, played some first grade last year. Very talented player, can play lock forward, 5'8". Very versatile as Wes Patton puts the foot down, tackled centre field. Really got to come up with some points pretty quickly now, the Tigers, to get back into this.
One gets the impression that that magic might have to be supplied by the man with the ball in his hands, Tim Brasher, or a Wes Patton. Can make something out of nothing. Here's Patton floating a kick across. Heron's onside, but it's Jorgensen who's equal to the task for the Roosters. 15 metres out from his own line.
Picking on Wes Patton at all, and Wayne Pearce has got some work to do with him. A couple of times now, kicks at that end of the field just have been very ineffective. That was another one. Now, that's really an opportunity to put the high bomb up and just have plenty of players going through. It's a lottery then. On that occasion, it's just a pretty simple catch for the winger.
I'm just wondering, Steve Roach, Blocker, have you got a kicking coach down there at the Tigers?
No, there hasn't been. Bill Anderson's been spending a lot of time with Wes Patton out on the ground before training. I'll just give a quick update on the injuries. Jason Lowry has a knee ligament damage, and Ellery Hanley a strained hamstring.
The other problem, Steve, if you look out there, Tim Brasher is also almost a passenger. He's got an ankle problem. So we'll keep an eye on Tim, because that would really be a black day for the Tigers, Hanley and Brasher. Here's Patton now showing it and going himself into the arms of Paul Dunn. Brasher actually waved one of the players back to fullback and came up into the front line. He's got a bit more movement now, though, as Walker tries to run over the top of them. The ball went to ground and he'll rule the knock on. And a scrum will set about 12 metres out from the Roosters line. There's Brasher. This is Walker. He tried to run over his namesake, and down went the ball. Sirenen has come back on, and it is Bernard Wilson who's come from the field for the Tigers. Jorgensen now. With so much youth around the place, Steve, does it make you feel any older?
No, it certainly does. He's got some good players there. That Mark Stimpson, I've been really impressed with him in the trials. He's played well today.
Cleary has gone right through, Steve. Sorry to have done this to you, but that's been a marvellous run by Cleary. We'll stay with it as they come quickly across the park. Simon and Walker combine. He looks inside, goes out. Singer's with it, and Matt Singer's put away. 15 out from the Balmain line. Garlick now for Simon, out for Dunn, across for Hermanson, flicks it out the back. Dunn picks it up. He'll stand and probably unload. He takes the tackle, and now Garlick, 5 metres inside the 20. They come back across that point. Fittler is with it. He tries to put himself through the gap, a gap that was closed. 10 metres out from the line. 5 tackles gone. From Clark it goes to Walker. Rolls it into the end goal. Brasher's there, and Brasher comes away and takes the pressure away from the Tigers. Having said that, let's go back to Steve to finish what he was saying.
You forgot to say hold the phone.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just talking about Mark Stimson, a young fellow from the country, Riverina Player of the Year last year. He's only 20 years old. Also, Glenn Morrison is an Australian schoolboy. They're looking for big things from him, from the Tigers.
Tim Brasher still struggling out there. Even on one leg, he did a great job of getting the ball back into the field of play. Dummy thrown by Brown. He's gone straight up the centre looking for support. Finds it out wide in Heron, who kicks ahead. Centre field. Good support coming across, but Jorgensen cleans up beautifully.
So Jorgensen has had a couple of anxious moments out there. He's been quite equal to them, though. And this was Michael Brown. He had to stop and jink and almost wait for his winger. And when Heron did get there, he thought, well, I'll try what I did to bring a try. First up in the game. And here's Singh. 25 away from his own line. There's 13 minutes to go in the game. Hermanson goes up to them, then he turns that hip and cannons into them. Fittler puts it high, midfield bomb. Brasher's there, nobody contested it with him, and Paul Dunn makes the tackle. Morrison, he's lost it. Simon, he's got a long run, but John Simon will make it. Not possessed of great speed, but even he with that much start was going to make it. Determined effort by John Simon. So his debut match with the Roosters also has been a pleasant one.
And that should put an end to the Tigers' chances this afternoon. Bad luck for this kid, Glenn Morrison. The blocker just talking about him, but he flicked one out the back there to no one, and away went John Simon. And when he saw that space, he was always going to score. Took Heron's hundreds, and away goes Simon to finish it off, and finish off the Tigers.
Well, one of the good things about this Roosters lineup is their ability to capitalise on mistakes from the opposition. John Simon on this occasion was Johnny on the spot. And a little bit of inexperience there from Morrison. They were in a situation, or are in a situation late in the game where they need to score points and fairly quickly. That's why the ball was being held out in the one hand, looking for support. It went loose. As Paul points out, that's just about the end of a pretty valiant effort from the Tigers. I get some confidence from this one. Been very impressed with a number of their players, none more so than their lock forward. I think that Darren Centre's been close to outstanding for them this afternoon.
Well, they've all played well, Pete. The hooker, Michael Brown's done some smart things. Wes Patton there getting some attention on a calf. Played very well. Tim Brasher, he's in the top 6 players in the game today.
Here's Cleary now, and he struck it beautifully. Straight on line. He's very much in form, Ivan Cleary. 26-10. And this is how it came. A dangerous attempt to keep the ball alive from young Morrison. And John Simon sprints off to pick up a try. Interesting comment by Paul Vaughton. Tim Brasher in the top 6.
Oh, I think he's a great rugby league player. I mean, remember on the World Cup last year.
I'm not about to argue with you. I wouldn't mind hearing you your other fiver.
Yeah, so would I. But he's up. What I'm trying to say, he's up there with the best of them.
Of course I understand.
He's such a classy player, and he and the Johns boys were the stars of that World Cup tour last year.
No, absolutely. But I'd love to know who your other 5 are, because I know you'll be trying to squeeze 20 others in there, and it doesn't add up.
Most of them Queenslanders.
Yes, I was about to say that too. I mean, imagine leaving Adrian Lamb and Matt Singh and Ben Eichen. Imagine leaving all them out of your top 6.
And Gilly.
Oh, what about Gilly? So here we are now, 5 metres on the Roosters side of the halfway. And Fittler has been lined up by a couple of, well, one youngster and one not quite so young. Young Morrison took him on. Here's Patton now using Brasher. Well, injury or no injury, Brasher has been monumental today. Now Serena.
Forward there from Brasher. And I still think that fullback is his best position. Talk of playing him in the centres in the last year or two, even at 5'8" at some stage. But at fullback, he just picks and chooses so beautifully, gets involved at the right time. And I think he's the best support player in the game at the moment.
Here's Michael Brown now, out from dummy half, throws the dummy, then waits and gives it for centre. And Peter made a comment about Darren Centre, which has to be echoed. He's always been near the football, and he's really been strong for Balmain or the Tigers today. And here they are again putting it down. When Wayne Pearce looks at the tape of this match, I don't know what the count will be, but the number of opportunities close to the line that Balmain have squandered, all because the ball didn't find the mark, somebody couldn't catch it, somebody couldn't pass it accurately. Then Wayne Pearce will probably be therefore looking at his major problem today. It's going to be a scrum feed for the Tigers. 35 away from the Roosters line. Match at Carrara tonight between North Sydney and the Gold Coast. You people watching in Queensland, or particularly the Gold Coast, Carrara, the home base of the Gold Coast Chargers this year. We did a match there last year, and it's a great ground. Tomorrow night you will see Manly play Souths. Highlights at 6:30. You doing that match, Paul?
I'll be there watching a few Go Manly goes in there. They shouldn't have too much trouble. Though the Bunnies, Craig Salvatore up front, he'll go all right.
Smith giving it on, Patton pushing it across, and then around the back for Brasher. The tackle brings the ball from his grasp. Brasher not happy with the tackle from John Simon. They engage just for a moment. Footy show tomorrow at 12 noon. And an array of stars coming on.
Yeah, there's plenty of them, eh? I just don't know who they are.
Well, to extend that, Brad Mackay, Craig Coleman.
Yeah, Tugger will be on to talk about last night's win. And you'll be there, of course.
28 is now on for the Roosters. As I look down at my research man, Mr. P. Sterling, to come up with this lightning-like revelation.
Yeah, it's James Smith, right? The reserve grade captain. As another mistake is made. Asa Milford is out there for the Tigers. Plenty of players coming off the bench. Brad Fittler, with the longer the game has gone, the better he has looked, despite that uncharacteristic mistake.
Simon comes off and Lamb goes back on. Just over 6 minutes of the match remaining. 26-10. Milford, one of the overseas imports to the Tigers, as Peter pointed out, is on now. Brown sending Walker ahead. He's one of those forwards that will not take a sidestep. He just wants to go straight over the top. Now it's with the other Walker for Balmain. Where's Patton? Face pass. Chance for Thompson, but the run ends about 5 metres out from the corner. Now he had markers, and that'll be a penalty to the Roosters. He had markers directly in front of him, and he's tapped it ahead, and I think he failed to release it as well.
He sort of had markers. A good run. They were a little ways away from him. They came in a bit late, but still you shouldn't, that's something you learn. You shouldn't take the chance here, because you're always going to be a loser.
Smith, is it? Brought them from everywhere late in this match. Adrian Lamb involved in this very interesting tussle for the number 7 jumper between himself and John Simon. He was in the run-on jumper today. I wonder about the future. Paul Dunn met by Heron, still able to get it away. Andrew Walker, like lightning, gets away. That should bring a penalty to the Roosters, and does. Michael Brown, I think it was, who held the Sydney City Roosters player Adrian Lamb out of the attack, and now Paul Dunn takes it to within 15 metres of the line. Cross now. Lamb as a pivot for Phil Clark. 12 metres out from the Tigers line as now they pick up Smith out wide. He's able to get a pass down. That went backwards. And Eddie Ward says play on. Still a couple of tackles left as Garlic is put down 5 metres from the line. Smith, long pass, well directed. Lamb, a short ball, went to nobody, only behind him. And then Lamb is brought down 7 metres out from the line. Quick play the ball. Garlic into Remiker, and then for Fittler. Grubs it ahead, Singer's after it. Brasher's in trouble, and not even Tim Brasher can get out of that. 3 minutes out from the full-time siren.
Both coaches will look at their sides' respective performances and come away fairly confident. Phil Gould wouldn't have been happy with the start from the Roosters. And obviously, with so many new faces out there, things are starting to take a little while to gel. In the end, class has proven superior. While the Tigers, they've been very competitive. As Ray pointed out, their biggest problem has been the amount of ball they handed across in good position. And that's obviously something they can work on. A pretty good hit out for both teams, but the Roosters are going to confirm their favouritism as one of the favourites of the competition this season.
Played now by Smith. The Roosters looking for a try in front of the siren. Fittler gets behind them and away from them. The Australian captain scores in his first match for his new club. 30 points to 10.
Nice little move from the Roosters here, obviously a planned one. They come to the left-hand side, dummy throw, a switch of play, and then another switch of play up the middle of the ruck behind a decoy runner, and it was Brad Fittler. Again shows his strength. Tigers defender down low just had the one hand on him, and that's never going to be enough to hold on to Fittler.
Yeah, pretty good move, that one. That's one they'd be practicing for many, many hours of training over the year. But in the end, just a missed tackle on Fittler. Let the try in. Phil Gould be a happy man. A resounding victory in the end.
Probably Steve Roach. It's an unfair score line when you think of the effort put in by Balmain for the greater portion of this game.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Wayne will be happy. One of the biggest worries at half-time coming from Wayne was that Fittler hadn't been very much involved in the game in the first half, and that was one of his main worries. If he did become involved in the second half, that something like this could happen.
So the final seconds of this match ticking down, and that makes it 6 from 7 for Ivan Cleary. Good performance from him.
Well, he's already proved a huge bonus, hasn't he, for the Roosters, but they've really suffered from lack of a goal kicker. The last year or two, Andrew Walker had the duties last year and was fairly inconsistent, but Cleary 6 from 7, a lot of them from wide out. So he's been an excellent buy for the Roosters.
So this is the last passage of play, and Matt Singh wants to have a big slice of the action. Down the sideline, turns it in for Darren Junee. He goes back looking for Matt Singh. On the outside of him is Clark, on the inside is Lamb, and Lamb is tackled 10 metres out. A matter of seconds remaining. The hooter to sound. In fact, full time is there. It's gone across. Fittler, bullet likes a pass out. It's gone on for a try for Peter Clark. Peter Clark scores. The siren has gone, but that was ball movement at its best. It started on the right with Matt Singh and finished on the left with Peter Clark. Beautiful stuff.
It's a razzle-dazzle to finish here for the Roosters. Clark offloading to Singh. He's flying. Wes Patton coming across in cover defence. Couldn't stop the tackle. Darren Junee, well, he's waiting an eternity for some support. Look at the little offload there from Matt Singh. Doesn't even worry about catching the football. Just bats it back to Adrian Lamb. And and then they always had numbers to the left-hand side. You see the outside Tigers defender rush up very quickly, just trying to stop something. In the end, there's a three-man overlap, and it's Clark who is the recipient of the pass.
That's a short kick-off that didn't pay off from the Tigers. And, the Roosters made the most of it. James Smith could have scored in the end, but Clark is the one who gets the try, so another difficult kick for Cleary, but yeah, great win by the Roosters, especially the last 15 minutes. They really hit their straps as the Tigers tied.
So Cleary, it seemed, would be satisfied with 6 from 7. Now they put him to the test one more time. He hits it, and it's there again. So 7 goals from 8 attempts for Ivan Cleary, and 38 points to 10 the final score. 38 to 10 made up of tries. Peter Clark got 2. Walker, Remacher, Simon and Fittler scored the others. Cleary 7 from 8. And for the Tigers, Heron scored the first try of the day. Centre got the other and deserved it. And Heron got 1 from 3. 38 points to 10. With the Sydney City Roosters running away from the Tigers in the second half. So we'll take a break now, and then we're coming back with our Optus Man of the Match. It's a $1,000 award. Stay with us. We'll have that information for you other side of this.